Hey everybody, welcome back. Long time no see. I know it's been since about January when I ran my last update, so I thought it's about time that I finally get around to recording something new. As the title of this video may imply, I have been up to some painting for Trench Crusade, and this is going to be the presentation of my Black Grail force as it is now. It is one figure short of where I wanted it to be, but I'll go ahead and jump on in here with the figures so you can see what all I've been doing over the last few months. For starters, I'll begin with my Lord of Tumors. This big guy. All of these are pretty much the factory models from, well, Fortress Factory, and I haven't done too much modding, but on a couple of them, which I'll show you when I get to those. But otherwise, we have the Lord of Tumors and all of his disgusting glory here. I used all sorts of different techniques that I've not used before, in so much as rust effects and blood effects, all from, I believe, specifically the Army Painter blood effects. I've mixed on some of these their gore effects as well as their slime with water effect, and gotten some interesting results. It's not great results, but I'm pleased. They look suitably disgusting for me, so I'm all about it. Got a little close up on the two cultists on his base. I'm really pleased with how the dip made the chest piece and his giant bracelet there pop. All of these figures have had my usual Minwax dip technique. It helps bring out and accent all of the small indentations. I used a lot of washes too of red to cover some of the bumpy areas and the injured areas where they might have taken a slash or something, in an effort to make it look a little more red and inflamed, like they've got an infection going on, which would be par for the course for the Black Grail. There's him. Moving on to my next command choices, I have two Plague Knights here. Good fun, lots of dry brushing and rust effects just sporadically on these. This is the basic Plague Knight figure. As you can see, the ink wash there went through, or rather the Minwax dip there went through and sank beautifully into the eye holes of his helmet. And lots of lesser rust effects and tarnish that I did on the armor itself. But that's the first of the Plague Knights. The second Plague Knight looks like this. Now, I swapped the halberd head because I didn't want two identical spears or halberds or whatever I ran them as in the Force. I wanted to have some differentiation. So I took a spare spear tip from my old Skaven bits, and I had a bunch of spare spears laying around here and there. Just plopped one of them onto the end, and voila, turned out great. Looks very, very, very nasty when you zoom in and get real close to it like this. The rust effect paired with the Minwax dip really helps bring out the little rough texture that's in that rust effect. Now, if you take the Dirge variant list, you have a variant version of the Plague Knight that Basically, it takes the spot of your Lord of Tumors. I believe he's called the Executor. I haven't had a chance to run this variant of the list yet, but I did pick up a figure, and for the life of me, I don't recall who sculpted this. I'll put it down in the description box when I get a chance to look it up again. But I wanted to have something that wasn't your generic Plague Knight, but something unique, but looked similar enough. And this just stood out brilliantly. I love the way this thing looks. I put him on a 40mm base too to kind of make him stand out, as none of the guys that I play against are really going to care much. And he looks phenomenal. The detail just came out perfect, I think. Again, he was painted up almost exactly like my others, just with lots of dry brushing, layers of different metallics, all put together and then dipped there. His cloak is a little shinier than I'd like. I may have to hit him with another dull coat spray at some point here, but it doesn't look bad. It's nothing to, get mad about or complain about. Then we have my amalgam. Now, this disgusting guy, he was a blast to paint. Finding all the nooks and crannies and that sort, and especially once the dip started flowing on him, I discovered so many new little spaces that just make it pop. The gore on the intestines is specifically a gory red, I believe, from Reaper, their paint range, and it's a gory red going up to a crimson, and then, interestingly enough, taking a beige red, dry brushing it onto the raised bits of the intestines, dipping it, and then covering that all with the blood effect from Army Painter, and it comes out looking pretty much the part. All of the weapons were base colored different shades. Either you had grays, metallics, greens, you name it, and then I applied the rust effect over top of it, so that it didn't just look like, oh, it's a massive rust. You can still see some of the original weapon up inside. Same with the blades. I painted them as I would a normal sword or a normal, in this case, looks like a giant machete. And then applied all of the rust effect to suitably make him look really, really aged, and obviously the weapons aren't getting oiled regularly. But again, the dip played nice with the recesses and the different rough textures that you get with that rust effect paint. Both the fresh rust and the dark rust effects were used. I basically put the dark down first, kind of stippled here and there, stippled and dry brushed the lighter fresh rust that's kind of more of an orange color down on top of it. And it turned out pretty good. And next we'll have the hounds, which I have 3 of them. Everything was done more or less like at the same time, so I was able to keep pretty well consistent with everything. There was one hound in particular, though, that I painted separately along with 2 of the heralds, which we'll get to those. They were from a different printer, and so I had to wait on those, and eventually they came in, but all the rest of it had effectively been finished before I had gotten those in the mail. So luckily I've written down my recipe and everything for these, which If anyone wants it, I suppose I could put it in the comments section, or I could put it in the description down below. Usually I keep a book that's kind of my recipe book for projects I know I'll either have to replicate something for later, or just I'll be, building over the course of time and need some sort of reference to go through and, check back and be like, okay, what did I do for this one earlier? But the Plague Hounds, they basically were very easy. I mean, you did not have much to do with them. Just lots of open wounds and that proboscis on the front. One of the things I've learned is with Trench Crusade and the Black Grail in particular, I've never said proboscis quite as many times as I have during this game. It's kind of entertaining. Next we have my Heralds, which, again, they're all kind of factory stock. The blood effects really, just like all of the rest, the blood effects really helped the wounds and the intestines and such pop so much more. They're all basically the factory model. These first two in particular, they're just no mods, no extras, nothing there. Though my third one, he is actually, well, I say he, it's a giant fly creature, but it has actually been modded up. As you can see, its little proboscis is downturned, as well as the barrel of its gun is flared out. Now this one, and as well the hand right there is malformed. But when he arrived in the mail, apparently the printer didn't do a good job checking it to make sure there were no miscasts, as his proboscis was all mangled up and layered up. It had like sections of the layering where it had flared out, and same with the muzzle of the gun. It had not printed properly at all, as well as the hand back there. But it was no big deal. I didn't get on there and complain, but rather I consulted the bits box and found a horn. I believe it was from a lizard man helmet. Snipped that sucker off and stuck it in place, and now it just looks like a downturned proboscis. Maybe he's a little sad or something. And a muzzle from an old rat ogre arm. The one that used to have kind of the blunderbuss looking arm sticking off of it in the old plastic kit. So with a little time, glued it in place, sanded it down, and shaved it down level, and I think it looks pretty good. He and a couple others have been, converted, but nothing too strenuous. I know I've seen some people who have gone really wild with their faction creation, which looks like fun, but at the moment I'm just kind of getting started. Next we'll have the Corpse Guard. Again, kind of factory standard. Lots of blood and gore on him. Worked a lot with the Reaper aged pewter on some of these. It's kind of a pewter with a yellowish brown, almost a light gold mixed into it. And I think it looks really good with these figures. I did the usual blood effect. And now this one, when I received him, the legs were already, everything was cleaned up on the model, and the legs on the creature tumor growth thing sticking off of his neck had already been trimmed off or had been removed. I didn't see any attachment points where they would have been. But it was missing those, which I'm kind of okay with because he threw in two of the metal helmets, which was kind of interesting because I thought one of them was supposed to have a just bare head, but no big deal. No issues there. The details still came out really good, and he still looks cool. So for the third of my corpse guard, I ended up combining the two. I found from another printer the version actually still had all the legs attached, which was cool, because now it looks really different. And I actually took the body from the guy with the sword, mixed the arms from the gunner version, a little putty here and there, and some sanding. And now I've got a completely different looking dude. He's kind of a mixed hybrid of the first two. So he looks very unique and, looks completely different to his fellow corpse guard. Haven't had a chance to field any of the corpse guard yet. I've still been playing with some of the others. Next I'll start with the fly thralls. Now, I'm assuming that the guys with the flies sticking out are what they're going for with the fly thralls. But the lack of wings kind of bugged me. So I did a little quick search on Reaper's website and found they had the translucent wings. And went ahead and ordered myself a couple of packs of those. It was a little more expensive than I was hoping, but it looks really good. I have two of these. Two identicals. They took the dip really, really well. And the nice thing is, when you put the Minwax dip on, they're still flexible. They're not going to break on you. They're still the bones material. But at the same time, as I've noticed with previous dipped bones models, the Minwax actually increases the rigidity of the model. So you're not going to have the deformation or the warping as much as you would on a normal non-dipped model. I've then got two of the pudgy regular thralls. I kind of did some different things on each of them. Like I didn't do the ribs on this guy exposed. I just decided to cover him more with blood than having the exposed ribs like this guy. He's got a little more ooze than this guy. Just so they're slightly different. Again, I love the way the ink, the dip made the face really pop on him and the nostrils and such. Again, with these two guys, did different colored pants, try to make them distinctively different, but similar enough. That's those. And my last two thralls being these guys. They kind of reminded me of the Fluke Man from the X-Files when I was painting them. And I went a little heavier on the gore with this guy. All of the ribs and the spine that I painted on him, like this one, kind of faded out. I might have to do a little pop of bone color here or there. But otherwise, I really like how it's turned out. Now, what you may be looking at and going, why do you have so much? This is supposed to be a skirmish game. And it's like, yes, correct, it is a skirmish game. But this is every single choice to its maximum. So I can kind of rearrange my list as I need. That way, if I find myself playing the Dirge list, I might not need all of these Fly Thrall, or all of these Heralds. I might not need as many Hounds, but I'll have them if I wish to play like all 4 Heralds or all 3 Hounds in a regular list at some point. And I say 4 heralds because this little base will eventually, whenever the wonderful customs office here in the US decides to release him, be the future home of my 4th herald, which will mean the entire project will be completed, and I can move on to my new Antioch, which I've technically already moved and started working on. But that's going to be a showcase for much later, as I've just gotten started on them. And along the same lines, I also have a few of the J.K. Remo papal troops that I'm starting to brainstorm and get some paint on, which is going to be a slow build comparatively to this, where all the models are already in existence and nothing is quite, pre-made. I have to wait on him to come up with some neat ideas or some variation in his figures. But that is that. I know a few of you, I know Cleo in particular, has been waiting on the preview / army showcase of these figures. And hopefully you've enjoyed this preview of what probably will end up being some more Trench Crusade coverage as time goes on. My group's been thoroughly enjoying it so far, and it's entirely possible I might try to get some recorded battle reports once we get more comfortable with the rules and we get more of our armies painted up. But until next time, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe I'll get a little historical stuff painted in here sometime soon. But until then, again, thanks for watching.